Welcome to the Changing Lives podcast, where we explore emotional wellness and behavioral health and the tools that help us heal from the inside out. I'm Shannon Winters, therapist, emotional wellness educator, and founder of Changing Lives Counseling, Changing Lives Life Coaching, Changing Lives Counseling, Ketamine Assisted Psychotherapy, and the nonprofit Inside Out that supports emotional wellness, mental, and behavioral health. Before we dive into today's tools for healthy relationships, I want to highlight someone who embodies connection, community, and relational wellness in such a beautiful way. Amanda, pharmacist, wife, mom, entrepreneur, and the founder of WanderMama, a woman's hangout and connection group. What I love about Amanda is that she doesn't just talk connection, she creates it. WanderMama is one of those rare spaces where women can show up exactly as they are, breathe, laugh, decompress, and remember they're not doing life alone. It's a community built on authenticity, belonging, and shared experience. And honestly, that's one of the most powerful tools for healthy relationships. Having a support system outside your romantic relationship, healthy couples thrive when each partner has friendships, community, emotional outlets, places to recharge, people who remind them who they are. Amanda's work with WanderMama gives women that space. And when women feel supported, grounded, and connected, they show up more present, more regulated, and more emotionally available in their relationships. So today, as we talk about tools for healthy relationships, we're also celebrating women like Amanda who make connection possible. Her roles, pharmacist, wife, mom, entrepreneur, reflect the reality so many women live every day. And WanderMama is her way of saying, you don't have to carry this alone. That message right there is a relationship tool in and of itself.
So our topic for today is going to be tools for a healthy relationship. And we are live here today for our Soulful Sunday, which we do every first and third Sunday of the month. And we hold it here at 100 Mile Brewing Company in Tempe, Arizona. Thank you to Sue Rigler and her generosity.
Yes,
It is also a women-owned business. We want to make sure you recognize that.
These tools are not just about perfection. They're not just communication hacks. They are actually tools that help us steady and stay connected and emotionally safe with the people you love.
And at the center of this work is the framework that Shannon has developed over these years. It's the 3 pillars of communication.
So let's get into it. This will be fun. Why do relationships break down? Most relationships don't fall apart because people don't love each other. They fall apart because people don't have tools. They don't know how to talk to each other. So communication becomes very reactive. Emotions get tangled up. People stop feeling safe with one another, and conflict becomes unpredictable, and no one knows how to repair it.
And healthy relationships aren't built on avoiding conflict. A lot of people have that incorrect in their heads. Conflict isn't always bad. Relationships are built on having tools, as Shannon had mentioned, to move through the conflict without losing that connection between the two of you.
Yes, that's where the 3 pillars come in. So let me just break down and explain pillar 1, which is emotional clarity check-ins, strictly check-ins, no conflict. We're not going to bring any conflict into a check-in. Most conflicts start before a single word is spoken. It starts with overwhelm, shutdown, fear, and old survival patterns. Let me explain what pillar 1 looks like and give an example. A simple tool from pillar 1, I'll have Amanda help me demonstrate. This is an example of a check-in script. So if I take my hand and hold up my hand, I'm going to name a couple difficult emotions and a couple good ones. So for example, angry, sad, confused, happy, peaceful. We want to have some good ones in there too. So I'm going to do this check-in with Amanda on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most, 1 being not at all. Where are you with angry right now in general?
Right now, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably say I'm at a 2
What makes you a 2?
because last week I was at a 4 or a 5.
Awesome.
So learning to let some things go, I've come back down to a 2. Now, if I think about those things that make me angry, might bring me back up,
Bump
but
back up.
still, they're still there, whether or not I've fully dealt with the anger. So that's why I put it at a 2, not a 1. Like I might not feel anger right now, but I know there's anger there.
Excellent. Good observation. Just imagine if I'm your husband and you're telling me this, and now I know you're at a 2, so maybe you can handle some deeper, harder conversations right now.
Mhm.
Last week, when you were a 4, you would
Mhm.
not have been good for
Mhm.
those deep, hard conversations. This is why we do the check-ins. So let's just go through and show sadness. Where are you on a scale from 1 to 5 with sadness?
Probably for the same reasons, the anger. So 2, maybe a 3.
Unless you start thinking about it a
Yeah,
bunch. But
right.
currently, again, what we're learning from this check-in with Amanda is that she would be at a good capacity to be able to handle crucial conversation, difficult conversation
Mhm.
with her spouse or kids right now. If it were last week, she may not have been in good condition. And we would have learned that from doing this emotional check-in as
Mhm.
well, because she would have been saying, I'm a 4 and I'm not in good shape
Mhm.
to have those deeper, harder conversations. So that's the check in. It's important to do this too. This is especially for couples and families. On a scale of 1 to 5, happy. 5 being the most, 1 being not at all. Where are you with happy?
I think right now I'm probably at a 3 or a 4 because we've had quite a hilarious time of trying to set everything up today, which I found some humor in.
Yes, yes. So we're excitable. We're both enjoying our time,
Mhm.
finding that we get to be here together without any background noise and nobody's here this 4th of July weekend. So I think we're both able to say we're higher on the happy scale right now, which essentially made us more productive to get things done and to set up this studio so that we could do our first podcast together. So, this is one example of an emotional check in and how you can check in with your partners or your kids if you have kids. It's an interpersonal check in. Kids do great with this too, and they
Mhm.
love to share the why. So, include your kids into this. Stop after why, though. Don't go into any conflict. This is just a time to check in. We'll deal with conflict later, and we'll talk
Mhm.
more about that as we move through
I
this.
like this idea of a check-in to see, should I even be bringing any conflict into this situation at all right now? When is a good time? Is now a really bad time?
That is the
Yeah.
purpose, and this is something definitely for you and Tom, your romantic partner, to be able to
Mhm.
use when he comes home after a long day at work, or you come home after a long day at
Mhm.
work, just to check in and know the thermometer, where each other stands. Is this gonna be a night where we sit and enjoy
Mhm.
each other's company? Or is this gonna be a night where we retreat to our quiet spaces and our books and do our own thing? That's the purpose of the check-ins,
Yeah.
emotional check-ins.
Yeah.
Pillar number 1.
And I would say that alongside that a little bit, and when you have 2 little ones like we do,
Mm,
sometimes just asking if you're able to get, he's good about asking, "Can I get your full attention right now, or do I need to ask you a little bit later? Because I might be in the middle of doing something."
excellent.
So that's not only just the temperature gauge, but the ability to even give any kind of full consideration to anything. So,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Well, pillar 2 is connection and safety, also known as emotional intimacy. And I know that sounds like a big, scary word to a lot of people, but the tone is the emotional temperature of the relationship.
Yes,
And then when tone is steady, people feel safe, people feel like they can be honest and share their feelings without some kind of, retribution or anger.
yes.
So that's very important to be able to have that connection, have that safety so you can ask those questions, bring that conflict in without having it come back at you.
Definitely. Tone is huge and it can set off a whole negative reaction that takes you on a road that you were not prepared to travel or your partner or family was not prepared to travel. People often ask, do I always need to check my tone? And my answer is, you should if you are considering how another person is going to react to you.
Do you want to maintain that
Do
relationship?
you want to
Do you wanna still be
maintain?
in that relationship?
Yes.
Maybe you should check your tone all the time, all of
The
us,
answer is
everyone.
yes. We should check our tones before we
Mhm,
come to the table with our families and our friends and our romantic partners. So when we are intentionally connecting, like on a date night, we shouldn't bring in conflict or hard conversations at all into those spaces. So no talking about the kids when we're on date night, no talking about how we're going to discipline. When we are in pillar number 2, which is the emotional intimacy, which is the building blocks of communication, and we're being intentional about connecting. Again, don't bring in the conflict.
mhm,
We need to work on the emotional connection with questions like this. These are just a few examples of a few questions that we can ask to go deeper than like, how was your day, honey?
mhm,
Or how's the
mhm,
kids today? So, questions like, what kind of life pace feels right for your long term? What kind of connection do you hope we are still building in our future? What does home mean to you when you imagine it years from now? Just some deeper
mhm.
questions make us think and go into our thinking brains and really contemplate with each other. So we're
Right.
processing on that deeper level and we'll learn some things about each other. That's emotional intimacy right
Mhm,
there, is learning what each other wants in our future and things like that. So these phrases help us get to know one another better on a
mhm,
deeper level. We need that connection if we're going to get to the hard conversations and deal with our conflict together. We have got to
mhm.
have this pillar number 2, this emotional intimacy,
Right,
this connection, this feeling close before we get to the hard conversations. If
right.
it's not there, the conflict resolution is not going to work. We're not going to get through the conflict. We're just going to end up regenerating patterns because we don't solve the conflict because we're not connected. We're not understanding one another.
Why would you want to have a discussion about something that you have a conflict about if you don't talk about what your long-term goals are? Because maybe that other person doesn't even want to be with you anymore. Do you think they're going to want to talk about something that
Exactly.
has to do with the rest of your life? So
Exactly.
yeah, you have to have the relationship first in order to be able to even have people invested to talk about the hard stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
what's the point if you're not having an emotional relationship with someone to
Absolutely.
even
And
talk
back to
about
the tones and checking the tones as we
it?
come to the space and making sure that when we are developing emotional intimacy, our tones reflect that, especially us ladies who may get a little excitable, maybe a little more emotional than our partners. It is incredibly important to check our tones when we go out to have a good time with our partners, the verbal and the nonverbal. Because if we're standoffish, they're going to feel that. If we have certain pitches in our tones, they're waiting for the conflict to come up. Right? We got to check our tones in this emotional intimacy
Mhm,
space and really work on the connecting tones. So finding that loving voice, that caring,
mhm,
I see you voice when we go into our emotional intimacy times together is
mhm.
incredibly imperative so we can keep it intimate and connecting.
Yeah, my husband and I have something that we say when we can tell that things have started off on a bad note. We'll say, "Can we start over?
Love that.
Can we start over?" Or another one that I like is, "Can we be friends today?"
Ooh, I like that.
Because
I like that.
the way that we talk to our partners often is not the way we would ever talk to our
I
friends,
like that.
ever talk to our friends.
Hmm.
So that saying of, "Can we just be friends today?"
Hmm.
Going to a party at someone's house. "Can we just be friends today?"
Yes.
And you kind of
Yes.
reset your mind of like, how would I speak to a friend? How would I talk to a friend? How would I treat a
I
friend?
love that.
Instead of, in a lot of ways, taking that person for granted.
Definitely. I want to add to that because that is a great point. Saying something like, "Can we be on the same team today?
Hmm.
Can we work together and get the kids taken care of or get the yard work done or get the kids dropped off so we can go to work," whatever that is. Can we be a team? Can we put that connector in the way we're talking to one another too, even with the kids?
Reminding that yourselves that you are on the same team,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Hopefully, right? That's the goal. We should at the very least say that to one another.
Mhm.
That's a tone. I wanna be on your team today. Like,
Mhm.
you and I talked about that when we came in here today going, "We work really well together." Like, we have a groove. I don't know how because we haven't been doing this long together. I think it just
Mhm.
shows that we have good personalities that fit together and we're driven very similarly. So, that is important for our relationships. It's important with our kids. We gotta be a team. I wanna work with you. Like, I like the way you work. Let me work with you. And if I come with that tone, like today, we get things done and we figure out how to set up our first podcast. And it still isn't going to be perfect, but it's going to be great,
How dare you?
right? I'm not a perfectionist, so it doesn't have to be perfect.
Well, moving on to the third pillar, conflict structure. So, conflict structure for specifically interpersonal conflict resolution. And a reminder from what I said earlier that conflict isn't the problem. You're going to have conflict. Conflict isn't always bad. Sometimes you can come out of something closer afterwards, but it's the structure of the conflict that matters. If you don't have structure, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. When conflict has no structure, people spiral. Like they crash and burn, they get defensive. Like, how often do you feel your partner's coming at you like this, defensively? If we don't have a structure, if we're not starting on the same page with that hard thing, we are going to spiral. Both of us. When conflict has a roadmap, people can repair. And I like to say they can follow the conflict through the solution. And if we can get a solution for a conflict, we're not making old patterns. If we don't resolve the conflict, if we don't look each other in the eyes and go, what are we going to do about this? Then we continue to repeat the same problem because we don't have a solution. Old patterns will stay in old patterns. So let me explain conflict resolution and give you a tool that may actually help you get through a conflict to the point of solving so that we don't have to keep having the conflict over and over again. What I'm going to introduce to you is the reset and repair protocol that gives couples and families a predictable path. So, first, acknowledge, or another way I might say that is if we identify the problem in a sentence or two, keep it simple, not if we go into paragraphs and paragraphs of explaining all the details behind a problem, it's going to be convoluted, and your person on the other end of that, whether it's a partner, a friend, or your kids, are not going to understand. They're going to go chasing their little rabbits and trying to follow details when we want to hone it in and really name the problem. This is acknowledged and clarified. Then we restate the problem. And then my favorite part, my personal favorite part, is to take time to think, otherwise known as cool down. Don't just keep going with the problem.
That's hard.
Yes, it is, especially when we're problem
Yeah.
fixers. But to take a step back, literally, and cool down and take some time to think about it gives whole new perspective, even if you just take 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes I need an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes I need a day to really first back out of my head and then to come back into my head and really question what is the problem for me? And how am I going to say that with the right tone for my partner, my friends, or my other family members, my kids, grandkids? I have to really think about it because I want to be respectful and loving to them. I don't want to set them off. I want them to stay engaged so that we can get through the problem.
I'd say like what's helped me in the past and currently is maybe a little meditation
Ooh, yes.
or just take a shower and think about why am I really mad?
Yes.
Why am I actually mad?
Yes.
Am I mad because I'm not in control of the situation? Am I mad because this person said something that was rude? Am I mad because they pointed out something that was true that I don't want to admit it? There could be lots of things. Maybe I'm mad because they really were just being a jerk. There are so many possibilities of actually being honest with yourself as well. What is the real issue? I mean, other things. So meditation can be good, just sitting and having some time. Ketamine assisted psychotherapy, all these things can help. A prayer, whatever you're into.
I like
Those
that.
are all things that can be really helpful just to take a second, but really ask yourself the hard questions.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
just be like, Behringer.
Yes.
There's probably more than like it takes two, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It makes me think too that when we approach conflict, we should think about it with what can I do about the problem? Let's start here. Is the problem mine? And if we take a minute to think about it, sometimes as a mom, as a wife, as a counselor, I am in other people's problems so often, and they can feel like my own problem. So, a lot of times when I'm checking in with myself, because yes, we should check in with ourselves to see where we're at also, I will consider those things. So, I do like the taking time to meditate, taking time to breathe through some things. Breathing changes the way you think, also. Those are excellent tools that Amanda shared with us. And this structure will keep us both or all grounded and helps relationships stay intact. Even if emotions are high at a 5, it'll help us stay grounded and we'll be on the same page because we're going to restate the problem so that we're both talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, perceptions kill the problem.
Yeah, you might be fighting about two entirely different things and not even realizing.
Yes.
And by the way, I like the word grounded. I really like that word grounding because taking your shoes off and putting them on the carpet or putting them on your grass, which is even better, but not in the desert because, thorns, but just on the earth, getting that kind of actual connection grounding, that has been very helpful for myself. And I think a lot of people would find that really helpful.
That's one of my favorites. I love to ground out in the desert, in the mountains, and hike. That's a great grounding. It makes me feel very present and I can enjoy nature, paddleboarding, things like that. Very grounding. But yes, just walking out into your backyard on the bricks and the stones and the rocks and the grass with your bare feet changes the temperature of your body in a very small way. You can tell that you're grounding scientifically. It's pretty impressive.
So, what are some examples of healthy communication in real life? And these aren't going to be easy. I mean, it might be easy to some people, but
it's not easy.
Pausing before reacting.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Huge.
Taking a moment to not just come back
Huge.
right away with something.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I have a tool that somebody gave me years ago on the pausing. And that is just touch your heart, like your pause, take a little breath, and just literally pause before reacting. What I'm generally saying in my head when I'm touching my heart, going, think about your words, think about your words, think about your words. And I'm pausing before I just, bleh.
Yeah. And sometimes that pause before reacting for me is when we talked in the previous pillar about taking time to cool off. Sometimes I just have to say, I need a minute before I even react. And I want to go, why am I upset right now? And I think about the reasons. Like, am I mad because they said something rude? Am I mad because whatever reason?
Yes.
They called me out. I don't know. Just that pause can be long. It doesn't have to be 2 seconds.
It doesn't.
And then it can be very effective as just 2 seconds as well. And then also checking in with yourself to see how you are. Are you tired? Are you hungry? Are you hot? Is the oven fan on driving you nuts because you're overstimulated? Are there too many things going on?
Yes.
All of these different things can affect that. So check in with yourself. I find a lot of the time that I will sometimes have to say, I can't talk about this right now. It's not a good time. I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yes.
So that is a check in, but then also.
And I would rather hear that from you than get the hell out of my face. I'm tired. I'm hungry. And I need a bite before I can even think straight.
Or like yesterday when I said, everyone is talking to me all at once and everyone wants everything from me right now. I just need to not talk to anyone.
Perfect.
No one talk to me right now. That was my response. Although it probably could have been phrased better. That was my check-in. And I'm way overstimulated. Everyone just says, leave me alone right now.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, to the next point, speak from clarity. That was good clarity, but could I have had a better tone? Probably.
There you go.
But speaking from clarity. So once you've paused, then you've checked in with yourself, then the hope is that you will have some more clarity and then to be able to speak with that and say, like, what's really going on?
Yes. So, like with your example, I'm overwhelmed. I feel like everybody is talking to me all at once, and I need to pause and take a break so that I can hear myself think, and then I'll come back to you guys individually and find out what it is you have to share with me. Right.
So that's a much better way to speak with clarity. And then the next anchor or the next tool is using tone anchors. So making sure that your tone is set in a way that you're going to connect rather than push away.
Yes.
So
Yes.
my example was not great with that, but
It was good.
it's a good example of one to work on and to correct.
Absolutely. This is we're all a work in process. Our parents did not teach us any of these skills or how to communicate. I don't know about you, but my parents used to say, "Go to your room until you're ready to come out and act right." And essentially what they taught me is how to avoid conflict and to let it go and deal with it and come back out with a good attitude. We never
Stuff it
resolve.
down,
Stuff it
down all
down,
those
stuff it
emotions. Yeah.
down, stuff it down. And that is a huge family culture. I think a lot of families are that way because our parents don't do what I want Amanda to do with her young children and get down on their level and tell me how you feel. Tell me how angry you are right now. Why? Why are you that angry? What did your brother do that made you that angry? Get down on their level and check in with them too. I want Amanda to train her kids to know how to talk to each other, to know how to talk to her and her husband, mom and dad, to know how to talk to people in school and kindergarten. We want them to be able to say to a teacher, "Hey, so and so made me angry because they pinched me when I wasn't looking." And if we don't give them those tools, if we don't teach them that, they're not going to have that. They're going to repeat the same cycles we've been in our family where we're not communicating. And if things get really hard to talk about, we shut down, we swoop it under the rug, and we go on our merry little ways until the conflict pops up again and we have to deal with it again. Repeat, repeat.
They're doing a good job right now, at least in our school, of recognizing emotion in other people and not negating it.
Awesome.
So, well, my daughter likes kind of weaponize this. She's only 5 and she's already learning how to like weaponize these tools. She'll say something like, it's hot in here. And I'd be like, it's not hot in here. And she'll say, you're not supposed to tell people how they feel.
I like that. I
Yeah.
kind
I
of
mean,
like
it's
that.
true, right? But then she'll use it in other ways. It's like, no, you're just trying to get out of something. But they are teaching that. They are
I
teaching
love that.
don't tell people other people what to think and how to feel and what their truth is and what their reality is.
I love that. And when they're still learning, of course, they're going to abuse that. That's part of the teaching. We have to keep coming back to that. But we'll have a culture of kids who know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
How will that, I haven't done the research on this, but how will that affect gang activity? How will that affect bullying? If we know how to communicate, say how we feel and why we feel that way to our parents, to adults at school and teachers, to our counselor, if we know how to communicate on that level, maybe we can avoid some violence in some really difficult situations.
And then to follow up a little bit with repair instead of avoid. That's what you're saying about when your parents would send you to your room just to avoid things.
Yeah.
Having some kind of conversation about why the person is upset and thinking about why and what can possibly be done to communicate it, to resolve it for the next time.
Absolutely. That's my motto is if you want to fix your relationship, focus on how to talk to each other, and these communication conflict resolution tools will take your relationship to a level up. And the reason for that is because, like we talked about in the beginning, I don't think it's money or discipline, or I don't think it's those things that we break up for. I think it's that we don't know how to talk.
The top
about
two
those.
for divorce are finance and infidelity.
Okay. So there it is. If we're communicating, we probably aren't going to have an infidelity because we're communicating about our needs and offering up solutions on how to help one another stay present in the relationship. We're in emotional intimacy pillar, not bringing in conflict and defensive tone, and we can connect. And if we have some of these steps, we can at least figure out if we should continue in the relationship to the degree we have been, or take a step back somehow and reassess and figure out how to completely resolve a conflict. It may not always just be between two people.
Right. But ultimately, the idea of having these tools is if you're implementing them regularly, then with each other, not just one person, one sided, but that creates a safe space so that you can bring conflict and talk about it and move through it. It creates the
Absolutely.
safety. So that's the predictability, creating safety to be able to talk about something. There's a lot of people, especially kids with their parents, as we grew up. And I can't ask my mom about this. I can't ask my dad about this because they're going to lose their mind. And they can't even talk to their parents about it. That's something that the new generation has been good about,
Yes.
finding someone to talk to.
Yeah. One of the things I try to combat in counseling with my young people is because so often the family culture, if you go ask a parent, like, can I go to this party my friend is having at their house? And the parent says, no. Why? Because I said so.
Oh, because I said so.
God help me.
Oh,
Whew,
the worst.
that one.
The worst.
That,
Especially for those of us in this world that need to know the why. Like that you need to know the reason behind
yes.
things and we're not just rule followers. It's like, I'm not a rule follower. So if you just say because I said so, throw that out.
Totally.
But there's got to be some reason.
Well,
Tell me it's not safe. Tell me something might happen. Give me some
absolutely.
kind of example of
Because
why.
people are going to be drinking and probably having sex, and I want you to be prepared for that.
There you go. You
Well,
can't say the S word to your kids.
my parents couldn't, so that is a true story. So here's an example of what happens when we have that type of parenting. I'm a curious person. I need to know why.
Mhm.
So I'm sneaking out windows and
Mhm.
meeting friends at the end of the road to go
Yeah.
check out the party and see what's going on as a teenager. What? Sorry, mom and dad.
My parents don't even want to know all the things that I did,
Oh,
what I snuck
goodness.
out of our window to do. I said, I don't want to know. They said they already know half the stuff.
Eh, I hope you don't know it all. You can know half. I just hope you don't know it all. Couples and families thrive when they know how to talk, how to pause, how to repair, and how to reconnect after a hard conversation. Families thrive when communication becomes a skill, not a guessing game.
Well, here's how the Changing Lives Incorporated
Mm.
supports this work. If you want to go deeper, we have programs that are designed specifically for this. The Changing Lives Emotional Blueprint is part of the Changing Lives ecosystem. And the blueprint itself helps you understand your emotional patterns
Yeah.
and survival strategies. Did you learn growing up and what are you continuing to perpetuate?
Yeah.
And the 3 pillars of communication that we've already touched on today,
Yeah.
that is a program that teaches you exactly the tools that we talked about today, how to implement them in your own lives.
Yeah.
And we also offer ketamine assisted psychotherapy or ketamine therapy for clients who need a reset. And we have a fully staffed ketamine therapy team that helps you integrate emotional clarity, the communication tools, and the relationship tools into your healing process. It's not one of these ketamine places that you go to where they just stick your headphones on you, put you in a dark corner and say, good luck, have a nice trip, hope you figure it all out. This is a full program that helps before, during, and after to help you understand what you want and your goals to ketamine
Love that.
therapy,
Yes.
how to guide you through the therapy itself, and then also how to approach what you learned during your session. I just wanted to put that in there because
I
it's been
love that.
amazing.
I love that. We have 3 providers at all times following one person. So we have the naturopath doctor, or we have a mental health nurse practitioner that follows the medical, prescribing the medication, and are you a good candidate for the medication? We have the therapist that sits with people for 2-hour sessions and then analyzes the information and brings in the interpretation or the meaning making. Then we have a coach that also follows up with intentions and goals after the ketamine session. And we repeat for 4 to 6 sessions until we feel like we have really hit it hard and that reset has taken place and we're thinking about things differently. So we really do offer a good program with our ketamine therapy. So in closing, healthy relationships aren't built on guessing. They're built on tools, and tools help you stay connected, steady, and emotionally safe in your relationship. I am Shannon Winters. Thank you for joining us for this Soulful Sunday today and the episode of Changing Lives podcast. If today's conversation helped you, encouraged you, or gave you something to think about, by all means, we would love to hear from you and join us again and follow us on social media. Look us up on YouTube, Changing Lives INC period. Changing Lives Inc. is our YouTube channel. Our live podcasts are here at the brewery on the first and third Sunday of every month. And we invite people to join us. We're going to have a question and answer at the end and give you the opportunity to ask questions following these tools that we're sharing with you. We would love for you to join us. We'll be recording with professionals on emotional wellness, mental and behavioral health topics. Until then, take care of your heart, honor your story, and remember emotional wellness grows in one honest moment at a time.